You're listening to JTE Movie Thinks. Is that the title? Is that correct grammar? All right, we'll go with it. It's a show about movies and thinking. And now, here's your host, every man's hero, JTE.
What's up, everybody? I'm back again with a new episode of JT Movie Thinks. This is JTE, the title, the name, it's all there. Today I have a great guest, the one, the only, Chris Zimmerman. You might know him from Magnificent Seven podcast. I've been on there once or twice, but I think only one episode of me's been released.
Yeah.
But this guy also has episodes with a lot of Screen Junkies crew. I mean, you've had Dan, Spence, you had Mundy on.
Yeah, we had Mundy, Dan twice, Spencer. Andy Signor will be coming up too, and then as well as Alicia Malone.
Yes, Alicia. She was just on my last episode of JT Movie Thinks.
That was a great one.
Thank you. So Chris, you got this great podcast. I've done a few times. And I wanted you on my podcast, but one of the rules I made out when I started this podcast was I want to be in person. You know, face to face. I just feel like you get something a little extra with the conversation when that happens.
Sure.
So as much as I would love to do some Skype calls, listen, Sylvester Stallone calls me and says, hey, we're going to allow to do you an interview, but it has to be on Skype. Okay, I'll do it.
Sure.
But for the most part, yeah, that's one of the rules I made out. And then you happen to be in LA.
Yeah.
And you were actually on Movie Fights this past Sunday.
Yeah.
You were on the fan cam. And you did a great job. This guy brought me a Mad Max poster.
Yes.
So you have open ticket to this podcast anytime. But yeah, it was great to meet you finally. You know, we've only done some Skype sessions. So you've been to LA before, so it's not like something new to you where you're kind of like, oh, LA.
Yeah, it's not new at all. Some family out here. So
you're from Arizona?
Yeah.
So it's a, what, 5-6 hour drive?
Yeah, 5.5 hours.
Oh, man.
So it's really easy, and I love coming here for just the feel, and the theaters are different.
At any point were you ever thinking of moving out here?
Earlier.
Earlier in your days?
Yeah. But it didn't work out with looking at everything financially. And
yeah, it's expensive to live here.
It is.
Totally understand that. I feel like whenever I talk to people, I'm like, you should move to LA. They're like, oh, it's so expensive. I guess I'm just used to it because I've lived here for so long. It's just, but then when I go visit my friends in Florida, I'm like, holy shit, it's cheap out here. It's like, my God, you got like a 3-bedroom apartment. You're paying what, $300 a month? Jesus,
dude,
that's insane.
The place I'm staying with my aunt, the little lock-off apartment, rents for like $2,000 a month. My house is half that. Yeah, and I own my house in Phoenix. It's ridiculous.
It costs a heavy price to live in these places, but I don't know if I'll ever own a house out here. I'll probably rent my whole life. But I also like that because I don't like being tied down to one spot.
Yeah, if I get that.
Something happened tomorrow, I could pack up and go wherever I need to go. But, I'm not a family man.
Well, clearly you can pack up everything because there's like 4 things in here.
A couch, a bed, a TV, and a drawer. Yeah. All of them are for entertainment purposes. Different ways. So how long have you been a movie geek, man? Is it something that happened with you like really early on, or did you kind of find it later in life?
When I grew up, everything I was watching, I would just watch over and over. Mm-hmm. And, it started with like the Disney classics. So I was watching Dumbo all the time.
Okay.
And then once I was starting to get a little bit older, when I was like 6, I started watching like Jaws. Nice. And so I watched Jaws on repeat all the time. And as a child, I actually liked Jaws 2 a lot.
Okay.
And then I rewatch it. I'm like, oh, of course, it's not as good as Jaws 1, but
very few films are.
Yeah, of course. But that and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and so from then on, especially when I hit like 8 years old, from then on, Jurassic Park was like the biggest.
Oh, Jurassic Park!
Yeah,
I feel like it's a lot for a lot of people I meet. That movie is it's a milestone, and I don't want to disagree with you because I don't. But I think that movie is one of those, and I've said it a few times on the show, there's only so many movies I remember seeing in theaters I'll never forget. That's one of them. Yeah. And it's not just because it's a great movie, but really I think a big part of it for me is the technological leap. I almost struggled to get that word out. The leap it made in special effects, where it's like when they talk about the first time someone created film, they filmed a train coming out of camera.
And they thought it was real.
People in the theater instinctively just jumped out of the way. When I saw Jurassic Park, I was like, that is a real goddamn dinosaur.
Right?
And that is not a special effect. It's not like anything I'd ever seen before. So for me, that's why it's a film for me that kind of just like is a milestone. The story's great. I mean, it's a fun movie, but the movie's like, I guess for me, movies like Rocky, Jaws. The thing I love about those movies is they're very entertaining, but the character development is so deep.
Sure.
I mean, Robert Shaw, that speech, like, you really get to know these characters, like Rob Schneider. Rob Schreider. Schneider is a totally different one. Just getting to, like, you really got to know these characters. When Jurassic Park, I think, is one of the all-time great summer blockbuster fun rides. You don't really get to know the characters too much, but they're great characters even so. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it was kind of that light bulb flicker of it can be more than just a pure entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It can actually cause you to have, this big stir of emotions. And
how many kids wanted? It was like when Top Gun came out, every guy wanted to be a Navy pilot.
Right.
When Jurassic Park came out, every kid wanted to be an
paleontologist. Yeah.
It's just like, I need to find dinosaur bones for my life. It's like, listen, it's cool. You're not going to find real dinosaurs. They're dead.
Yeah, the same thing for me too was, I saw the movie and I was like, holy hell, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen, because it really did look like a real T-Rex. And the crazy thing is that it still holds up flawlessly today.
It's better than newer movies. Oh, I still say it looks better than Jurassic World.
Oh, it does.
It does.
It does, for sure.
And it angers me, because they've done it right already. What are you guys doing? Just get away from the CG.
The Raptors, man, that was...
so good. So totally love that movie. So you've been a film geek from the get-go.
From the beginning, yeah.
That's good to know, man. I always like to hear a little bit about people's history, because sometimes it's interesting to hear somebody that doesn't find it until a little bit later in life, and it's like, oh, catch-up time.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up on Star Wars.
Yeah. And I also feel like, for me, it definitely shaped the person I am. I was one of those people who never bullied anybody in high school. I was friends with everybody. Yeah, there were assholes in high school that bullied other people, and they pick on me sometimes too, but I feel like watching movies as a kid, it teaches you life lessons. I learned from The Karate Kid not to be an asshole in high school. I said, I want to be Daniel-san. I don't want to be Cobra Kai gang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I feel like you can, if you show your kids the right movies, it could definitely form the person they could be. That might be a crazy statement. I don't know.
No,
that's how I feel.
I think movies do have a lot of influence on the way that people can behave in modern society and in culture. And movies have influenced me in the same manner. And it's been fun developing just a taste for movies and like revisiting some classics that I thought were great when I watched them as a child, and then I look at it now from a different perspective. And I can still appreciate what it did for me when I was really into it and the story that it was trying to tell. But when you look at the filmmaking aspect, I'm like, that's bad.
And it depends. Sometimes it's an age thing. Like, I watched everyone growing up, I was just a movie geek. I was like, what are the great movies? And when Harry Met Sally, everyone told me it was a great movie. It was like, it was in all these lists. So I was like, I'm going to watch it. And, I was this was like mid-high school, maybe freshman towards the year. I'm like, that was a good movie. It's funny. But once you've gone through relationships, you've lived through heartbreak, it's not until then that you go back and watch that movie, you're like, this fucking movie is genius.
Right?
And I also feel the same way when it comes to just social issues. Like, last year I said Selma was I think one of my favorite movies last year, if not my favorite movie. I had number one, and I'm going to admit this on the podcast. I had Selma as my number one film of last year. I think, looking back, I might move it to number two and put Whiplash number one.
Oh, good job.
Okay. But I said this, and I will repeat again, Selma should be shown in every school, because you can only learn so much in history books, and your teacher standing in front of class telling you things. But until you actually see stuff, whether it be a documentary or something like Schindler's List, that really puts you in that headspace. That's why I think movies are even better stories or history lessons than a book or anything a teacher can teach you. That's just my opinion.
I never got to see Selma, unfortunately.
No? Oh, dude, it's so good.
I'm still in the dark on that one. But
loved it. I think it should be shown in every school, because I feel like sometimes these kids, you hear the kids don't pay attention in school sometimes. Okay, I didn't, but when you can see when you can see it with your own eyes and hear different stories about these people, just hammers it home a little bit harder. All right, you know what? It's been great history lessons. It's been great talking about. We're getting deep on this episode, but let's get deep into the movie you watched. So I'm going to ask you, Chris, what was the last movie you watched from beginning to end? Something you watched, you wanted to watch on your own, not something you had to watch for whether it be your podcast or something. You were like, oh, I got to watch a screener for some reason. What's the last thing you had? Maybe you just drove. I hope you're not watching movies as you drive. But if you ever flew or whatever like that, maybe something around those lines. So tell me, what was the last movie you watched from beginning to end?
So when we do the podcast, as you know, we create top 7 lists. And we're always talking about movies. And because we're always talking about it, it's like, oh man, I really want to revisit that movie or this movie. And
did you revisit The Crow yet?
No, I haven't.
Just for context, I'm a big fan of The Crow, and you haven't seen it in a long time.
A long time.
And I told you need to rewatch it. Yeah. But okay, I digress. Go ahead.
So I went to Amoeba, as you saw on my Twitter. The night I came in, I went to Amoeba, which is the greatest store ever.
For movies they have movies that you just can't find anywhere else sometimes.
So true, and
their prices for new stuff are a little steep, but they have a great collection of used, and their used prices are fantastic.
So I was looking around, and I picked up a couple, and so I watched one that I just bought that I hadn't watched in a while, which was Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene. Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So that's the last one you watched?
That's the last one I watched, and it was
interesting.
Totally worth it.
Okay.
For me, I really have a fascination with
cults.
I know it sounds weird, but I do. And movies that can portray cults really well, it just kind of it blows my mind that there's people that are able to be formed and molded into thinking a certain way because of how somebody is speaking to them. And that kind of goes with like just general religion as well. But I studied Charles Manson a lot in psychology.
Interesting.
So this had a lot of similarities to the Charles Manson family and just the way they operated. Have you seen this one?
I did. I saw it when I was in Connecticut. There's an old art house theater in my own hometown of Connecticut, and I was visiting home, and a friend of mine who I grew up with, who I grew up watching movies with, we drove like 40 minutes to go see this little indie theater that's like in a barn. It's like this...
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And they happened to be showing... It was the only place showing this movie. And I've heard some Oscar buzz at that time for Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really need to check this out. And like you, I think everyone's kind of fascinated by cult movies because it's just such a crazy idea, but it actually happens.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to get that psychological, like what turns these people nuts? I'll just look at the director here, Sean Durkin. He hasn't really done anything else yet.
He hasn't, unfortunately.
I'm really curious to see what he does next. Hopefully something soon. Cause I like you. I saw this movie and I thought it was really well done. It's a slow burn. It really is a psychological thriller. And the standout for me, even though Elizabeth Olsen did a great job, John Hawkes as the cult leader.
Dude, he was so good.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Was he nominated for this movie?
I don't think so.
He should have been.
I know he got nominated for Winter's Bone.
Yeah, that's right.
But John Hawkes plays the cult leader of this.
Yeah, very charismatic leader.
Yeah, and it's exactly how you would expect, and the family, the group of people always are participating in group activities.
Yeah.
But it's I think the best part about this movie is the way that it transitions back and forth, because it starts and it shows you a glimpse of the cult life, and then Elizabeth Olsen, Martha, or as they call her on the farm, Marcy May, runs away, and she's hiding because they're chasing after her.
Yeah.
She calls her sister comes, picks her up. So the movie transitions back and forth, showing her from the time in the cult, and then transitioning her life being out of it with her sister and her new brother-in-law.
Yeah, and they're kind of like, what the hell, where have you been?
Yeah.
And she's kind of haunted by the whole thing. So it's a lot of flashbacks forward and front. And I haven't seen the movie since I saw it in theaters. So my memory is not going to be as well as yours.
That's fine.
But what I do remember is, like, towards the end of the movie, I don't want to I don't want to say what happens at the end, but you could tell they really convey that she lives with this constant fear that this guy who she was in a cult with could like appear at any moment, because he's so got into her head that like I don't think for the rest of her life that character is just gonna always feel like she has to watch her back. And even though that's probably not the case, maybe John Hawkes is gone or whatever, but she's always gonna feel that way.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what cults do to you. They just brainwash you to the point where even if you do get away and you feel like you're safe, it never fully leaves you.
Well, and it shows how completely fucked up her brain is, because her sister and her husband are having sex at the house, and she goes and lays on the bed next to him.
Yes, because she's not used to private, like, yes, I totally understand what you're saying.
Not used to privacy, and she just jumps into the lake naked, and
all these normal society rules are just kind of been washed away from her.
Oh yeah,
because this cult just tore them down
completely.
Yeah, it's almost like finding like somebody who's in the wild who's crazy and doesn't know what the social standards are. And
to me, it's really hard to find a good cult movie, like a movie that's well made, well acted, has a good, compelling story.
Yeah.
That's about a cult of some kind. There's not a lot of good ones.
And I definitely think I'm trying to think of like obviously it takes a lot from Manson. It's got it.
Oh yeah,
it definitely has that feel. There's even a scene. Manson was famous for being like a musician, and there's this great scene where John Hawkes just picks up a guitar and he plays this Martha May song. I don't know what it's called. But yeah, I love that song, by the way.
That's a great song.
I've downloaded it on iTunes.
Really?
Yeah, guys, go check out that song. John Hawkes does a great professional recording of it. And even the song, when you buy it on iTunes, it begins with a clip from the movie, like the actual scene from the movie. And it's just this haunting song. And it's so well done. And I think Manson used his musician and his status to kind of like almost hypnotize these people. And he kind of does the same thing.
Well, the other similarity too is that there's a scene in the movie where John Hawkes and a couple of his people they break into without breaking anything. They sneak into a house.
Very reminiscent of the Manson clan breaking into Roman Polanski's house. And
before they did that too, they did a thing called creepy crawls. The Manson family did, where they would go into rich people's houses undetected, and they'd move around all the furniture. And then they'd leave undetected, and that's it. It was just for fun.
Just for fun?
Just for these people to wake up and come out of their room and be like, what the hell?
Creep the fuck out.
Right?
Yeah, that would freak me out. Jesus.
There's a scene where they go into a house and they turn this treadmill on at like full blast, and the homeowner comes out and it's like, what the hell? And then they sneak out undetected, and there's so many similarities to the Manson family, and I think that's why I really liked it, because how much I studied it. And Elizabeth Olsen is phenomenal.
She is phenomenal, and I had in my head I saw something. This girl's going places, man. She's gonna start doing some great work, and I've been a little disappointed with her since then. I mean, she's done movies like Godzilla, which had to be a paycheck. She's barely in it.
Yeah,
she was fine in the Avengers, but nothing special. Old Boy remake was not good.
Oh, man.
And I don't blame her for that. She did fine in it. But I don't know if she's just not been picking the right projects, because she has yet to do anything since this that has come close to this kind of performance for me.
Yeah, she also had Silent House, which was just...
Oh, I never saw that.
Don't.
Was it bad?
It's bad.
Okay.
I mean, it's not as bad as like that Jennifer Lawrence one.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The house on the left. Not the house on the left. It's called the house on something.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, the house on something hill. The house on the hill.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's something stupid like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really expecting when I found out that she was going to be playing Scarlet Witch. I'm like, she's going to kill it. It's going to be awesome, because I didn't care about Godzilla. I actually didn't.
Barely in it.
I didn't really like the movie.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with it too.
And so I'm watching Scarlet Witch, and I'm like, really?
It's such a character. The accent was almost too much for me. I mean, that's cool. She's in the movie. She did fine, but it wasn't like... I just feel like she showed so much promise in this first movie.
Yeah.
I wish she could just start picking some more projects that can give her something like this to do. Well, totally understand you're not going to turn down an Avengers check.
Right.
Oh, what? You want me in one of the biggest blockbusters of all time? That'll put me as a character who's going to go throughout this whole Marvel universe?
Yeah, no thanks.
Sure, no thanks. I'm good. I'm going to do Martha May Marlene Part 2 instead.
Oh, jeez.
So I totally understand that. Is there any other cult films kind of like this?
So there's another one. I actually bought it from Amoeba as well, called The Sound of My Voice, which is kind of a...
It's an older film?
Yeah, it came out... It's with Britt Marling.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Another Earth.
Yep.
And I think she was in Arbitrage with Richard Gere. She writes and acts in all her movies.
Yeah, I remember The East. I believe she was in The East.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
So she's really good, and she plays somebody who's a cult leader that claims to be from the future.
Okay.
And have you seen this one?
No, I haven't seen it.
So she claims to be from the future, and there's the story more centers around this boyfriend-girlfriend couple that are documentarians, and they're trying to expose her as a fraud. Okay. So they're trying to be accepted into this cult to expose her.
Oh, interesting.
It's fantastic as well. I was trying to decide which movie to cleanse my palate.
Yeah.
After watching a movie that I did not enjoy.
I wonder, remember the whole Waco, Texas disaster? Where that guy, basically the FBI, the ATF and all that, accidentally burnt down this whole guy's compound where he was like a religious cult. And I can't remember the guy's name. It's like David something.
I forget, but I know what
exactly
you're talking about.
I would love to see a movie, like a really well done movie, I bet, just on that whole incident. There's a great HBO documentary about it called Days in Waco or something like that.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, the title might be wrong, but it's an HBO documentary. It's about the whole Waco siege, and it's fantastic because one of the things is that whole Waco thing, that there were news cameras everywhere. Like, they covered the shit out of that thing, so we saw the whole house burn by itself. And I just think it'd be great, a really great actor to play, that guy, the leader of that cult. Then you could cast a couple people as the ATF agents, and I just think it would be a fantastic movie. And I'm sure there's some B-level movies out there that are based on it. I'm sure there's some like Lifetime type movies, but that documentary was so good, and I think it's such a fascinating story because, again, cults. I mean, this is like a lot of people were like accusing the ATF of murdering these people. Kids died in that movie, in that burning building. So I really like to see a movie based on that, but that's just me throwing that out there. Because what else was some of the other famous? There's a lot of famous stories of cults, but
well, it's like there's the Kool-Aid, of course. Yeah, everybody says don't drink the Kool-Aid in reference to that.
Yeah. So a meteor was going by, and people thought they could like jump off it. It was insane.
But I think there's another good one which everybody actually says is a representation of the start of Scientology, which is The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Very good. That's a very good choice. A challenging movie. I respected the hell out of that movie. I saw it and I was like, oh man, this is really good. The acting is phenomenal. I just don't know if I'll ever watch it again.
What?
I mean, here's the thing. If I watched it again, it'd be for cinematography and just to dissect it some more.
Dude.
But it's not one of those movies I could throw on like just willy-nilly. I need to be in a certain mindset. Is that like your favorite Paul Thomas movie?
No, not even close.
Well, there you go.
There Will Be Blood is besides Star Wars, There Will Be Blood is my favorite movie of all time. And I put that on if I can't sleep. I put it on if I'm like cleaning the house, doing dishes or something. It's on a lot.
Okay, well, The Master is
The Master is like the number 2 slot because it's just one of those ones I can put on. Really? I just have it in the noise in the background. Except for the scene where he's being interviewed by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, the interrogation type scene.
Oh my gosh, and he can't blink. Yeah. The acting on that scene is more than phenomenal.
I think The Master is a fantastic film. It's something if you want to be challenged as far as like just narrative. It's a really good movie, but I think it's great that he does that. And even though I did not like Inherent Vice, for me, like, it's so funny to see his career go from Boogie Nights to The Master.
Yeah. 2
totally different things. For me, I was still more famous for other work. I love Heart 8, his first film he did. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't.
All right, really good. You check it out. Then I love Boogie Nights. I love Magnolia. And I love There Will Be Blood.
What about Punch Drunk?
Punch Drunk's a little fun movie. I love Punch Drunk.
Great.
Too. Yeah, I totally agree. Punch Drunk is great too. It's the one I haven't watched as much as the other ones, but I need to revisit because I do like that movie.
I think every time I watch Magnolia, I'm like, wow, that's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Then I watch Boogie Nights, I'm like, well, no, that's his masterpiece. Then There Will Be Blood, obviously is
a masterpiece.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with that movie.
If you asked me, I would probably say There Will Be Blood. It's probably his masterpiece.
Good.
But what I love about saying that is Boogie Nights is also, but almost in a totally different way. Because they couldn't be any more different from each other.
Oh, yeah.
Boogie Nights is like Paul Thomas Anderson doing his Scorsese.
Yeah.
And There Will Be Blood is like him doing like a John Ford old school movie. It's kind of crazy how much range he has. Again, I didn't like Inherent Vice. The Master I enjoyed, but not something I'm going to throw on a lot of times. I really hope he does something different, which he's been doing, so I guess I shouldn't worry.
Yeah.
But
the
I'd
other
love
thing
to see,
too,
make him do the movie about the Waco. I would
oh
be
my
there day
gosh,
one.
yes.
Right?
So the other thing too with like There Will Be Blood is it has Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
So of course it's going to be amazing, at least acting wise.
Of course,
is going to be perfection.
Mm-hmm.
DDL is
He's one of the
greatest.
all-time greats, man. He's like the Tom Brady of actors.
Oh jeez.
Because Brady's got 4 championships. Daniel may as well have 4 Oscars.
But did Day-Lewis cheat to win an Oscar?
Boom. He did because he does all his research before he played Lincoln.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cheating.
So that's cheating.
He deflated his beard.
Yeah, it was a fake beard. But yeah, I love cult films. I hope they do some more. I would love to see a Waco film. I'm trying to think of some other psychological thrillers that I could compare to like Martha May, because it is a slow burn, and Master is definitely a good, even though it's different, it's definitely kind of got a similar pacing.
They both end in a similar tone.
Yeah.
To where it kind of has, they both have that No Country for Old Men ending where it just kind of goes to black.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And I know a lot of people had a problem with Martha the 4M movie.
Yeah.
Because, IMDb credits it as a drama thriller.
Yeah.
And there's some people that I was reading like message boards that are like, this is not a thriller. I'm thinking, yeah, it is.
It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah, it's a thriller in a different way.
Yeah.
And it is a slow burn, but it's very worth it. I think the payoff is really good because it's a little ambiguous of an ending. Mm-hmm. So you don't have everything spoon fed to you, and
which
with
I like.
With the modern moviegoer that's just wanting to spend $10 and shut their brain off. That's not going to be a movie for them, I think, because you have to actually dissect it and really look at the possible endings of the movie, and so I like movies that don't hand you all the information. Mad Max being one of them.
Yes.
You don't understand anything until 3/4 of the way through.
They just throw you into the world, and the director is smart enough, or trust you enough that you're smart enough to figure it out for yourself.
That's the thing. I don't remember who I was listening to that was talking about it, but you watch a movie that puts you in a world, and it's just like, this is the world we live in. Mm-hmm. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Just accept it, and you'll enjoy the movie. Mm-hmm. But then, as much as I love Inception, because I love Christopher Nolan, everything kind of still was a little spoon-fed.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of people argue the first hour of that movie is just exposition.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
but it's good. Ariadne is representation of the audience, and so everything's kind of being answered for her so that we can understand.
Yeah, she's the audience, totally.
Which is still good. It's better exposition than most movies.
Matrix and Neo. Neo is us. We're taking this journey. We were in the real world now. Like, whoa, what the hell's going on?
Right.
Lawrence Fishburne is basically sitting the audience down, saying, "Let me catch you up on what's exactly happening here."
Well, for movies like The Matrix and Inception, you have to have a lot of that so people can actually accept it, because there would be so many complaints of nothing was explained, I couldn't understand it. But there's some that leave that little ambiguity to it.
Well, let me tell you, I'll never forget when I saw The Matrix in theaters. Because those were the days before the internet where everything was leaked out. You knew the plot.
Oh, man.
The only thing I knew about The Matrix going in was it had decent, cool TV spot. And I don't think I ever saw a trailer for it in theaters. And that Keanu Reeves was in it. And me and my cousin, I'll never forget, going to the theater being like, oh, what should we see? And they're like, oh, there's that Keanu Reeves movie. I'm like, yeah, the last thing he did was Chain Reaction, though. That movie sucked. Like, Chain Reaction was like a really bad Morgan Freeman, Keanu Reeves movie. Came out like a couple years before The Matrix. I'm pretty sure the movie was pretty close to right before The Matrix came out, because I remember us saying, I don't know, should we go see this? Chain Reaction was so bad. Back then, you just kind of attached stars to their movies.
Didn't it come out in like 97?
What, Chain Reaction?
Yeah, and Matrix is 99?
99, probably pretty close. You're like Scott Mantz over here.
96.
Yeah. I don't know if he did the movie after, but I just remember that was the last time we saw him in an action movie. These are way beyond his speed days.
Yeah.
And we just like, again, like I said, you attach stars to movies. I wasn't to the film geek level where I was like, who directed it? Who produced it? Who wrote it? I was just like, Keanu Reeves. And then walking that theater and watching that movie kind of blind for the most part and being taken on that journey, I'll never forget the moment he takes the pill.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the Matrix is a computer thing. And all of a sudden the movie goes from that to him waking up in like a pot of goo with cables coming out of him. I was in the theater like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, what is happening? I was like, this movie is fucking insane. Because
so good.
It was just like one of those movie moments I'll never forget, just because I just never saw it coming. It was just like, you see, no movie really done anything quite like that. So when he took that pill and he woke up in that bottle of goo, and you're just like, where the fuck is this going? And I remember walking out of the theater like, whoa. To quote Keanu Reeves.
To quote the movie?
Yeah, like, whoa. Because it was mind-boggling. And it was like, a lot of people say, that was a milestone in science fiction films. That just, every movie after that tried to be like The Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those seminal films that just kind of changes movies. The greatest form of admiration is, what do they call it?
Greatest form of flattery is imitation.
Yes, that's the quote I was looking for. And I feel like that is one of those movies.
Yeah. I remember that's like the number 2 experience for me.
Yeah. Jurassic
Park number 1, Matrix number 2, because that's when, it was 99, so I was like 13 when it came out, 14, and I think that was like the first R-rated movie I saw in theaters with my parents.
Wow, what a way to start off.
Yeah. So all I knew that there was a badass gun battle.
Yeah.
Just a really cool shootout.
Yeah.
And so I walked out thinking, holy hell, did I just see the most original movie that will ever come out in my lifetime?
Yeah.
And I'm like, probably.
It probably is one of them.
It totally is.
Another one of those moments for me is Terminator 2. I saw it in theaters when I was a kid. And the liquid metal effect was unlike anything that's ever been done before.
Oh, man.
And James Cameron kind of learned that special effects trick from the movie The Abyss, which I love. Because he did these water effects where these water trails would go through the submarine and stuff.
Such a great movie. And he used that technology. Like, maybe we can use this in Terminator. So I remember seeing Terminator, and this guy's turning to other people. He's getting shot in the eye, and his head's turning around. I was like, oh, this is so cool. As a kid, I was just like losing my mind. And I put that up there with Jurassic Park and The Matrix as one of those movie-going experiences. Well, I'll never forget, because I saw something. I won't say Terminator 2 was wholly original, but the special effects were groundbreaking. Oh, yeah.
And still, T2 to this day is one of the all-time greatest action movies. You can say the same thing about The Matrix. One of the greatest action sci-fis. Jurassic Park, one of the greatest summer, blockbuster kind of fun movies.
Oh, for sure. We had...
Also, I want to add, I throw Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know when, after The Matrix, if there's been another one between then and now, but Mad Max is that kind of movie for me this year. Every other movie is going to be compared to that movie from now on, as far as action.
It was insane. You watched all the special features.
Of course.
It's awesome how they did the balance for the guys on the Cirque du Soleil type things.
Crazy. It's so sad that now, these days, we see stuff like that, we just assume CGI.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's such a disappointment.
It's such a disappointment. Yet you see the behind the scenes, you're like, they really fucking did it. It makes it even better. Guess what? Road Warrior, they had to do it for real because there was no CGI.
Oh,
and I love the fact that he does CGI in the movie, but it's small. It's only stuff that it's
landscape painting essentially.
It's background noise. The stunts and everything else are so real.
But what I loved is the cinematographer on the special features was saying we film everything practical and then we just layer it. Yeah. So they still filmed the truck flying on that ramp. That wasn't CGI, and they they inserted the other, the rig driving. That type of stuff is so commendable.
Yeah.
In today's movie-going universe, because you're right. I never thought about it. You see that and you're like, oh, CG.
Yeah.
I never thought that for a second that was my mentality, and it's so sad.
Well, there's sometimes where I'm like, that's gotta be CGI because they would never put somebody's life in that position. Then I watch special features like they put that guy's life in that position. That's amazing.
Oh, so good.
So good. All right, man. Well, it's been a great episode. It's time for us to get to one of my favorite segments.
Yes.
JTE, quick thanks. Basically, I put a tweet out there, and a bunch of you people tweeted back. Thank you so much. I can't get to all of them, everybody, but we're going to get to a bunch of them. All right, wow. Let's see. Where do we start here? This is curious. I'm going to get to learn what kind of movies you like here.
Yeah.
Holy crap. All right. Let me see. So many people. I got to load more tweets. All right. Dan Holland at D Holland. Black Mass. We haven't seen it yet, buddy.
Nope. I want to.
We're going to see it. Don't worry. I love this. I love that people are writing in like Mike Vicino at Mike Vec 23 Everest. I can't wait to see that either. All right. So this guy at Snoogans 5150. Justin McDonald wrote, any given Sunday, then draft day. This guy's in a football mood.
Yeah.
He's getting ready for tomorrow. Quick thoughts on any given Sunday and draft day. Have you seen them?
I have. Draft day was a lot better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
I went in with really low expectations because I'm like, okay, well done, Hollywood. You're just trying to make Moneyball in football form. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot better than I expected. Any given Sunday,
Oliver Stone.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's a movie that I feel like that's altogether is not that great, but it has some great moments.
It's like somebody was like, hey, let's make Blitz the movie. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't pan out that well.
Blitz the movie. Blitz was afterwards. Was it?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
No, the 64?
I could have swore it. All right, here we go. Carlos, wait for it. Cinephile Lopez. At Cinephile Lopez. Just saw 12 Monkeys for the first time. So good. Oh my
gosh.
So good. This is great because we were talking about this before we recorded. You watched it last night for the first time.
I just watched it for the first time.
You did not like it.
I hated it.
That's crazy.
I couldn't stand it. My boss gave me the copy.
Yeah. What was your problem with the movie?
Oh, I was just... I like Terry Gilliam. Mm-hmm. Fear and Loathing is amazing. Okay. I hated the music.
Okay.
Brad Pitt was... But if a music is distracting...
I guess so, yeah.
Brad Pitt was amazing.
Uh-huh.
He was fantastic. I don't know what it was.
Like Bruce Willis?
No. The story in general wasn't compelling enough to get me actually interested.
All right. Well, guys, for the record, I like the movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I love the twist at the end. And it's a mind bender. And it's honestly one of my favorite Charlie Gilliam movies. So we disagree on that one.
Yep.
Chris at CC Scorsese, The Warriors.
The Warriors. Haven't seen that.
Come out and play. You don't know? You don't know
no, I haven't seen that.
Oh, man. Great 70s movie. For a long time, God rest his soul, Tony Scott was going to do a remake. And I totally would have liked to see that because the movie is a 70s film. It's a lot outdated, which adds to its flavor. But I would love to see like a bigger budget kind of version of it.
What's it about?
It's about all these gangs in LA meet up and basically the police raid it. And we're talking like thousands of gangs have this huge meetup. And they basically, this one gang, the Warriors, have to get from Long Beach to they need to get to their hometown in Long Beach, and it's not Long Beach. Where is it? Oh, God, no, I can't remember where it was. Anyway, it's like a thriller movie to the point where they got to get from point A to B, but between A and B is every other rival gang. And they don't have guns. This is the 70s. It's all bottles, bats. There's like a bat gang, which a lot of people do as cosplay. Great movie. Definitely 70s, though. I would check it out.
I will.
Let's see what else we got in here. Just got a black mask. Good for you. Michael K. at Matches Malone 05. Just watch Hollow Man.
Hollow Man.
Yeah,
oh,
Kevin
man.
Bacon and one of the loves of my life, Elizabeth Shue. I've had the biggest crush on her since Karate Kid. That was a fun movie. I remember seeing
fun.
it.
The
Paul
concept,
Verhoeven, director of Total Recall and RoboCop.
The concept was awesome,
Yeah.
but the execution was a little flawed.
Okay.
You know, I would have liked to see.
The effects were good though.
The effects were great, especially for his time. And Josh Brolin was in that, wasn't he?
He played the lead kind of guy to Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
Yeah, good movie. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but really good horror film, like thriller.
I heard the Hollow Man 2 or whatever is just garbage.
Of course, straight DVD garbage. Here's a good one. Jonas Colleen at Jonas Colleen. Donnie Brasco. He's getting ready for Black Mass. He wanted to see another good mob Johnny Depp movie. I really like Donnie Brasco. It's one of those movies I feel like get forgotten a lot of times. And maybe now Black Mass is coming out, people will revisit it. I just revisited it like maybe a few months ago, and I just had a great time with it.
I rewatched it.
Al Pacino's so good.
Rewatched it a couple weeks ago because we started the new segment on the podcast called Movie Zaggets.
Oh, okay. What is that? You just revisit old films?
No, we take so we took Johnny Depp because Black Mass came out Friday, and so we take an actor and we take all their movies, and according to their just average rating, we seed them in a bracket, and then we put them head to head to determine the best movie by said actor. So
that's awesome.
Every Friday those come out. Next week is De Niro and
who won the Johnny Depp?
Well, you have to listen
to the episode. Well done.
But because Brasco was in there, I try to rewatch a lot of the movies that we talk about on the podcast because I don't.
How did you feel after you watched it?
I liked it. It was great, but I think I was fighting to get a different movie ahead of it. I don't remember.
I love Michael Madsen in that movie too. He's such a badass. Solomon Martinez at Solomon J Mart. Last movie I watched was The Abyss. We talked about it earlier. Love that movie. Go.
Great movie.
Make sure you guys watch the director's cut. It's way better.
Longer, but worth it.
Not a lot longer, but yeah, it's longer. But it completely changes the end of the movie.
Yeah,
it takes it to a small scale ending to like a global event, which is just fucking awesome. Let's see what else we got on here. Oh, Mud, Lucas Magilio at Lucas5500. Mud, I love Mud. Matthew McConaughey, did you see this?
I never got a chance to see this one.
Christmas.
It's on my list in my queue for Netflix.
It was in my top 5 the year it came out.
Really?
I absolutely loved it.
Well,
it was the beginning of the reconnaissance.
I wanted to see it because that was the movie that Christopher Nolan said, all right, there's my guy for Interstellar.
Yeah, okay, I understand that. At Jake Baldino, friend of the show, good buddy of mine. Office Space.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that movie.
Good, I just want to make sure.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
how can you not like Mike Judge?
It's one of those movies that you can just quote whenever, and whenever it's on TV, I'll stop and watch it.
Oh yeah,
it's one of those movies for me. Like it's got 100% charm. It's hilarious.
So many times in college, I'd knock on the wall of the little dorm across from us. I'd be like, "Dude, turn on Channel 9. Chicks out big cans."
Yeah, yeah. And I love where he's like, "From here on out, we tell nobody." Right. Then you hear from the wall, right. He's like, here he goes. Don't worry, guys. I ain't gonna tell no one. He's like, who the hell was that? He's like, it's my neighbor. Don't worry, he's cool.
He's so underrated as an actor.
I always think of him from the Drew Carey Show.
Oh yeah, he's in a small movie called Evil Alien Conquerors.
Yeah, I remember that movie. I never saw it, but I remember when it came out.
It's so funny. It's terrible, but it's so funny.
All right, we got 2 more. Charlie Kessler at Charlie V. Kessler. This is an appropriate one. Traffic.
Traffic,
and
yeah.
I think maybe he's watching this because he's about to see Sicario.
There we go.
It has a lot to do with drugs and, all that stuff.
I almost bought this at Amoeba the other night because
Nice.
It was like the director's cut, and I'm like,
I haven't seen it in so long.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I put it back, unfortunately.
You did? I understand. I'm not the biggest Soderbergh fan. Not a huge fan of his work.
Me neither.
I respect him. I think he's good. I respect people that enjoy his work. He's just not somebody that for some reason connects with me fully.
But Traffic was a good one.
Yeah, it's probably probably his best. Keeks at Kiana24. At she said Inglourious Basterds.
Oh my gosh, I brought that with me.
You brought what? You brought the movie with you?
I brought the movie with me.
Just because you like to bring it wherever you go?
No, because I was like, oh, if I can't find anything good at Amoeba, at least I'll have Inglourious to watch. And gosh, that's my favorite Tarantino movie. I think it's better than Pulp Fiction, which a lot of people would disagree. But
I understand that because there was a time where I was wavering, like it was between those two for me. Like whenever to this day, I still struggle which one's better. There's days you catch me on certain days I will say Pulp Fiction. Then there's certain days I will say Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, it's Inglourious.
They're so damn good.
Well, I think enough time has passed to where you can actually give it
the
objectively look at it because it's not like a shiny new toy.
Totally agree. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. I love that movie. It could be his best film. It's like this. I watch Inglourious Basterds. I'm like, this is his best movie. And then a week later, I watch Pulp Fiction. I'm like, this is his best movie. Yeah. And I love Reservoir Dogs. I love most of his films. But yeah, Inglourious Basterds is amazing. All right, man. I think that's it. Sorry if I didn't get your guys' tweets. There's so many of them. I can only do so many. But keep listening, keep tweeting, and I will get to you hopefully one day. Hopefully. Yeah. This one, I gotta mention this. Alex Corey says, probably not your favorite, the first Rocky.
It's classic.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I'm such a Rocky fan. I love it. That you want to get your movie, watch a Rocky movie. I'll probably say it on the podcast. Yeah. All right, man. So this has been great. A lot of fun. Do me a favor. Tell these people where they can find you, your podcast, and social media.
Yeah. Twitter at Zimabimbim.
Zimabimbim.
Zimabimbim. The podcast is on iTunes and Android. It's called Magnificent Seven. JTE's been on it. Dan Merle, Nick Mundy, a lot of great guests. And then the movie Zagat's is on the same RSS feed. So. No need to. Yeah,
it's a podcast where we count down. It's not a top 10 podcast. It's
top
a top 7 podcast, which is really cool, and I love it works with the name. It's a 7. The one episode we have out, I think we talk about the best
movies where the bad guy wins.
Bad guy wins. Yep.
And then next is
best revenge movies.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we have another one in the can, which you'll see later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really fun show. Everyone just likes ranking things.
Yeah, it's great.
It's hard sometimes, but it's just fun, dude. Like every end of the year, I love coming up with my top 10 list. And me and some of the Schmoes crew, we always do like our top 10. You know, the Schmoes have their top 10, and some of us in the crew like do our own top 10 video. And it's great to like put everything in order. But like I said, sometimes a year later you might want to switch something.
Oh, for sure.
So what was your number one film last year?
Last year,
was it Whiplash?
I think it was.
I think it was Whiplash.
Boyhood didn't even make my top 10.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't a fan of that particular movie, and neither did Birdman.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I appreciate the technical aspect of everything that those films accomplished, but story-wise, it didn't do it for me.
Well, one thing we have in common is I love both those movies, but neither of them made my top 10 last year.
There we go.
So we're on the same page there. People probably hate me for that, but go on YouTube and search top 10 list of last year on the Schmoes Know channel. You can see me, Copster, and Cody's top 10 picks.
Perfect.
All right, guys. So you can catch me at Schmoes JTE on Twitter, Instagram, pretty much everywhere else. Facebook, it's Josh, aka JTE. I'll add anybody on there. It's basically just like a fan page at this point. So yeah, catch out JT Movie Thanks on iTunes. Do me a favor, if you're listening and you think I gave you a good podcast, give me a 5-star rating. I think we gave him a 5-star podcast.
Yeah, do it.
Leave a comment. I love hearing what you guys think. Also, I do a show called Box Office Breakdown every Monday where we break down the box office numbers. It's a very fun show. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary. It's a blast. It's not just us talking movie numbers because even I would be bored by that.
And your co-host finally has a Twitter.
Yeah, Sarah Stretton. I'm just going to yell that out there. Sarah Stretton has a Twitter, so go follow her. It's at Sarah_Stretton. Also, as usual, the Schmoes Know Movie Show every Thursday night, 6 to 8. I also work for the Screen Junkies. I basically do movie fights, but there's a lot more stuff coming up, so keep an eye on that. And yeah, guys, thanks for listening, and thank you once again, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man.
Next time you're in LA, man, open door.
We'll do it again.
All right,
I'll bring another poster.
All right, have a good weekend, everybody, or whatever you listen to this, and keep watching those movies.